Good afternoon, and thank you for joining the Orange County Forum. Today's program is brought to you by our sponsors, UCI and UCI Health. We certainly thank them for their sponsorship. My name is Enrique Perez. I'm the interim president at Santiago Canyon College, and I have the pleasure of being your moderator for today's discussion. For those that may not be as familiar with the Rancho Santiago Community College District, we have been around for 106 years. We have two colleges, Santa Ana College in the city of Santa Ana, and we have Santiago Canyon College in the city of Orange. Rancho Santiago has been a leader in workforce development for many, many years. Our board, our chancellor, has been very, very focused on making sure that we have an impact in our workforce, not only here locally in Orange County and in the region, but statewide. We are the leaders of what is the Orange County Consortium, which focuses on working with all 9 colleges in Orange County and having an impact on workforce development, listening to our employers on what they will need, not just currently right now in their workforce, but certainly 5-10 years from now. And we're certainly very proud of the work that we've done with them. And we have one of the best apprenticeship, if not the best apprenticeship program at Santiago Canyon College, which has had an incredible impact on our local workforce. So we welcome you to visit our colleges, both Santa Ana College and Santiago Canyon College. In our previous conversation about employment, we examined the evolution of the California dream job. The pandemic and the Great Resignation, as it's known, played a pivotal role in changing how we looked at our workforce and our businesses. As a result, we learned that employees are emphasizing a much healthier work-life balance and seeking jobs that offer a holistic package of benefits that meet their needs. In response, our employers collectively have pivoted to recruit new workers and retain their current workforce. But even if an employee can secure their California dream job, many report feeling anxious, disillusioned about their careers when they enter the workforce. These feelings are especially true among our Gen Z and women. So how do we prepare our future workbench? What role do we play in cultivating the workforce of tomorrow? Today, our panel of business experts will share their insight and help us explore solutions to these important issues. Now, I'd like to introduce you to our great panel. First, we have Ms. Rhonda Miller, who is a Business Solutions Manager for the Orange County Workforce Development Board. We have Debbie Ball, who is the Vice President for the Easter Seals Work First Employment Services. And we have Mr. John Hanna, Government Affairs Director for the Southwest Regional Council of Carpenters. So before we begin, let's learn a little bit more about our panel and have them each share a little bit about what they do and how they're so involved in the workforce. And we'll go ahead and start with you, Rhonda.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I'm Rhonda Miller, Business Solutions Manager with the Orange County Workforce and Economic Development Division. And I'm responsible for connecting with employers to help assist with hiring and retention of employees in Orange County for 32 cities and unincorporated areas. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. Thank you, Rhonda. Thank you for being here. We'll move on to Debbie.
As Enrique mentioned, I'm with Easter Seals Southern California. I have been with Easter Seals for more than 30 years now, believe it or not. We're really excited to be part of such a great organization and really passionate about the work that we do. In any given year, we serve more than 15,000 individuals with disabilities and their families. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you for all the great work that's being done at Easter Seals. And last but not least, Mr. John Hanna.
Hi, I'm John Hanna. I'm a Government Affairs Director, one of them, for the Southwest Regional Council of Carpenters. And I've been doing that for 8 years, trying to put people who need work into work that needs people. And I've enjoyed that. Before that, I worked as with the state of California as a general counsel. And before that, as an attorney, so I'm a recovering attorney, now trying to utilize those skill sets to help our economy and help our people. And I am also a trustee with the Rancho Santiago Community College District.
And thank you, John Hanna. and hopefully that recovery is going well for you as you recover from being an attorney. So we move on. Like I had mentioned, our district is very, very much involved in workforce development, and as John Hanna mentioned, it's about putting people to work and making sure that we keep our finger on the pulse what our employers need, so that the training that we provide at our colleges is in line and aligned with what they need. And certainly part of that is to work with our community partners and establishing community partnerships, because we're both trying to reach the same goal. And I think we do a better job when we come together and collaborate. So let's hear a little bit from the Orange County Workforce Development Board. I know we've been working from the district very closely with you all, but let me ask you a question, Rhonda. It's been difficult for employers to find workers willing to apply for jobs. To add to that, even more difficult to find someone who meets the expectations of our employers. What role do employers and businesses play in making sure they're setting up their workers for success?
Yeah, I talk with businesses large and small about this every day, and I reassure them they're not the only ones who are staying awake at night with heartburn trying to figure out how to hire and retain people. And I think it's important for employers to gain an understanding of what they really need in their positions, right? So if they can evaluate the position requirements and really determine, do I need that degree? Do I need those 4 years of experience? Or can there be a possibility there's a ton of people out there that don't have a degree that you're missing out on if that degree is a requirement. So if you can drill down and see if you can cut that experience down, you're going to be training these folks to a certain degree anyway. So if you're going to invest in your workforce by training them how you want them, then that's an opportunity to tap into your current workforce. By default, if you're broadening your requirements, you will create a more diverse workplace, right? And that provides new thinking, different thinking, right? And expands your think tank. It's just benefiting the organization overall. But I think it's important to provide growth opportunities. People want to know that there's trajectory, an upward trajectory in where they are going to work. I mean, we spend more time with each other at work sometimes than we do with those that we love. So it's important to love your work, and it's important, to know that there's growth opportunities there, and that involves career development, and that is responsibility of businesses and employers and managers to provide that for their workers. And let's not forget, it's expensive to live in Orange County. So employers need to provide not just wages that are competitive, which is what we're seeing out there these days, you're paying for talent, but a livable wage in Orange County. And according to MIT, a livable wage for a single person with no dependents in Orange County currently is $24.92 an hour, right? So that's something that I think employers need to bear in mind. For that work-life balance economically, let's ensure that our team members have a livable wage.
Absolutely. Great points. Great points. I know the Workforce Development Board has been working really hard with employers to see how we can bring the employers and the employees and align both to have a mutual benefit for both. Moving on to John Hanna. We know that it will take a community effort to help prepare our future workforce. We do that every day at our colleges. The Southwest Carpenters is a great example of what a community of people can do to help each other out. I understand that the Carpenters have several apprenticeship programs, such as the Helmets to Hard Hats program. Can you talk a little bit about how it has helped folks in the workforce development area?
Sure. The Helmets to Hard Hats is a national nonprofit organization that links former members of the Armed Service, National Guard, and Reserve to skilled jobs in the construction industry. The carpenters are not the only entity involved. The building trades in general, for example, electricians, plumbers, and pipe fitters, operating engineers, they all participate too. And this is, we've found in our experience that members of the Armed Services or the related divisions like the reserves, they have unique skills that complement this industry. We have other programs, though, that deal with other people that are specialized. For example, we need to get more women in construction trades, and so we have a boots program that's out of our Whittier operation. We take women in our Buena Park Training Center, but we have specialized women-only classes in Whittier, and we have a Brothers Keeper program also in Whittier that deals with people who come out of incarceration or who otherwise have had difficult times getting their foot into the employment area, and we work with those people. They've been successful, and it helps increase our diversity as well.
Wow, that's great. That's great that the carpenters have focused so much in that area, especially with women. I think that's an area that we could certainly bring more
Yes.
women into that workforce. So glad to.
Well, we all need to do better, and that's one area where we do. So we hope to do better than we have. The number of women in construction is less than 8%, and in some trades less than 2%. So we aim to move that up, and we find that in many areas of our skilled carpentry, finishing carpentry, women are as good, if not better, in many cases than the men in those fields. So they're taking to it, and they're becoming leaders in our organization.
Well, that's great. Well, I'm sure Rhonda, Debbie, and my wife would agree that women would be much better in these areas. So moving on, we'll bring on Debbie. Debbie, it's no secret that more people we prepare that enter the workforce, the better we are at building capacity. This is especially true with the population you work with at Easter Seals. Could you tell us a little bit about the numbers we are looking at here? How big is the population of adults with disabilities not currently working? What kind of impact would it have if we managed to tap into this market?
Sure, and I'm sure Rhonda can attest to everything I'm about to share as well. We've got some national numbers as well as some local numbers. So in just June, the Bureau of Labor Statistics states that the unemployment rate for working age adults with disabilities is 8.4%. That's opposed to 3.7% for people without disabilities. Okay, more than twice as high. All right, it's a huge untapped labor pool. And then if you look at Orange County alone, according to the census, there are roughly 165,000 people with disabilities under the age of 65 living just in Orange County. So you can see it's a huge piece of our community. Imagine if we started tapping into those resources. And then when you look at the buying power for people with disabilities, right, for working age people with disabilities, in the United States alone, we're talking about more than $21 billion a year in buying power. You can see the economic potential here. It's not about charity. It's about real people looking for jobs and really contributing to the community.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And so, are there any specific programs that are some of your top programs where you're trying to bring that workforce in, or even better, get the employers connected to that community?
Sure. So we work really hard to do everything we do individualized. So it's not like it's not like we're a registry and we just send out 8 people. If John should call me tomorrow and say, do you have any carpenters? I would have to reach out to the people that we work with because we really want to know what their skill sets are and we really want to be able to match them. But also echoing exactly off of what Rhonda spoke about earlier. And, look at your job descriptions. Look at what's really necessary. There are people out there with really good skills that can't get in the door because they don't meet the applicant or the job description requirements. So really think about what is necessary for those positions and then look at it. And that's one of the ways that we're successful with businesses is we do get to know the individual who's looking for the job. And then we get to know the small business. We typically work with the smaller businesses. We introduce them together so that they can find that right match, find out where the job seeker can benefit the employer, so that there is the economic impact there is the immediate economic benefit.
That's fantastic. And sometimes we really just focus on trying to match someone that doesn't have a job or is looking for an advancement with an employer, but many times the talent is within the organization. Right? It's about upskilling some of our employees, providing opportunities for those at the entry level. So Rhonda, I know you work very closely with several businesses in Orange County. What are some of the challenges employers are facing with upskilling and maximizing their workforce potential?
Oh, you set it up perfectly for me. I mean, look at what your current existing workforce is made up of, right? So, do that evaluation and identify potential skills that are needed. I talked about a career path. I talked about, upward trajectory. So, what would it take employers to get their existing workforce up to the skills that they need to perform in a higher level job, right? So recruiting is expensive, and if you've got a candidate pool sitting right there in front of you that you can provide training and classes for that skill gain, it enables those employers to promote from within, and it creates that career path. It sets an example of opportunities for other workers. It's like, wow, they were able to do it, I can do it too. Loyalty is very, very fickle these days with some of these candidates, right? And with some of these employers. So when you provide that opportunity, that training and that skills gain for existing job and the next job, it instills loyalty in that employee also. So those are all ways that employers can really take a look at what they've got, identify it. And yes, it's going to take some questions, it's going to take some evaluation, and it's going to take a little research on the employer's part to see, do they need language skills, do they need math, what are they going to need, and provide that for them so that they can get that skills gain.
That's great. Sometimes we have to look from within to make sure we see our talent that we need. But I know in speaking with a number of employers, one of the things that keeps coming up is there's not enough people out there looking for these jobs. So John, can you tell us about the unique challenges facing your organization? In our previous conversations on OC Forum regarding this topic, several employers have reported finding it difficult to find employees, people to hire, because there are not enough people looking for these jobs. So what has Southwest Carpenters experienced in terms of recruitment and helping people find these jobs?
You know, our international president, Doug McCarran, and our Southwest Regional Council Secretary Treasurer, Pete Rodriguez, have really said it best, that if you're providing good benefits, there usually is not a shortage of people. There's anecdotal evidence that we see a lot where a factory which is opening, or an employer is an open door with a lot of benefits, which include health care, which include a pension, and the place is mobbed with applicants. But we find in the construction industry that the people who are complaining about not enough applicants are the people who are not paying a living wage. They don't provide health insurance. We subsidize those companies. The government does, and the private sector does, by not requiring that, who often cheat their workers and pay cash. But the building trades and the carpenters, they pay a living wage. They have health care benefits, not just for them, but for their families. They have a pension. They have a training program. And most importantly, sometimes people say, well, college isn't for everybody. But Rancho Santiago Community College District has mastered, as well as the carpenters and the building trades, the apprenticeship program, which gives you about 32 units of academic credit at Santiago Canyon College. For us, the operating engineers and the electrical workers, that's halfway to an associate's degree. An associate's degree is worth about $250,000 more in a work lifetime than a high school diploma. And finally, and most importantly, in an economy that is continually changing and need for retraining, having somebody have an associate's degree allows them to be easier to retrain, either if they age out in that particular profession but still have a work life expectancy of 10 plus years, or if they're injured. And so that's what, if you provide the benefits and a good paying job, the people will come.
That's well said. And I know we've, at the district, we've held roundtables, and this has always come up. It's come up, I can't find employees, the soft skills aren't there. But then all of a sudden we start talking about, what are you paying? What are you paying? What are the benefits? Are they able to live close to home rather than spend 3 hours commuting? All of that quality of life certainly comes into play. So I think what John just mentioned is key, and we should continue to have those conversations with the employers because they also need to hear from us, right? What we're trying to train folks, we're trying to get them to you, but you also have to give on your end and pay a living wage for the folks working at your company. So
And
Debbie,
Enrique, as in a county, we also have to look at the housing issue. Employers here are losing people to the Inland Empire because we don't provide affordable housing that they can afford, not workforce housing. People in our schools, people who work in our hospitals, union construction workers. So they're fleeing the area and they'll take jobs over there. So that's another issue. We have to deal with the affordable housing, not just the low and very low, but workforce housing as well.
No, so true, so true. You could just you could see it in the freeways, right? 3 o'clock, and certainly impacts the quality of life. And as employers are looking to provide that balance, that work and health balance, driving 3 hours each way is just not going to do it. Just not going to do it. So moving over to you, Debbie, we heard from John of the challenges that his organization is facing. What have been some of the major challenges your organization has had to overcome, and what kind of plans do you have for the future to further prepare adults with disabilities?
Sure. Our challenges are similar to those of other employers. We've been severely impacted. People are choosing not to work, not to start work, not to go to work, not to return to work, going back to school, choosing different careers. All of those things are having an incredible impact. We've been, working hard, what we always have because we have such a commitment to our associates of the community, but to build better packages and really make things more attractive so that people want to come to Easter Seals and stay at Easter Seals. But we're really struggling to meet the need. And, at the same time, more and more people with disabilities are coming out and wanting to join the workforce. So it's really, it really is a struggle. As far as preparing people with disabilities for the workplace, we truly believe that everybody is ready to work and that everybody can contribute in some form or fashion. And it's up to us to find that fashion and that form and then be able to connect them with the employer that can benefit from it. So it's really about, communicating with local employers and building those connections so that they're aware that there is a workforce out here that is interested in working and build some incredible talent. I mean, you talk about people who are creative and have to skip through barriers every single day and get around things that the rest of us aren't challenged with. These are some really sharp thinkers, and there's so much to contribute. So it really is about just opening our eyes and making sure that we're accessible and that we're out there where people are looking and that we aren't putting up barriers so that people can't get in the door.
No, that's great. That's great. Let me ask the three of you. We keep hearing from employers that soft skills is a major deal when they hire new employees. They may like the training, but the soft skills are just not there. Let's start with you, Rhonda. What are you hearing from employers throughout Orange County?
Yeah, I hear that quite a lot, actually. Soft skills seems to be the number one feedback that we get regarding candidates. And that's an opportunity for our case managers to work with our participants and for job seekers to understand, you got to practice, get in front of that mirror, right? We're dealing with different ages, right, and different levels of experience. And when you've got a workforce that's entering that is used to looking at a screen instead of a person, or used to engaging with an electronic device versus another individual, there's a lot of things that needs to be learned. They're not used to looking people in the eyes. They're not used to that handshake, right? Handshakes some of them are still handshaking, some are not these days, but soft skills are definitely important. We provide opportunities for mock interviews, right? So that you can actually sit down, you can practice. Practice definitely makes a difference. We are well aware of the feedback that we receive from businesses regarding soft skills, and it's just a matter of implementing that training, implementing and understanding. We got to train the trainers almost, is how we need to work with these job seekers. I tell you what's a good trial for job seekers, though. Come to one of my job fairs. Come to one of my hiring events, right? You have an opportunity to get right in front of businesses and hiring managers and practice. So there's a chance there.
How about you, Debbie? What are you seeing on your side?
You know, that is just so critical. And social skills are so critical, but or soft skills. But you know, it's really interesting too because it really is about the culture of the organization. And I really stress that, and we really focus on informational interviews so that we can get people inside to see what that culture of that organization is. Like if you think about a corporate center, you know, like our corporate office in Irvine, it's really corporate. You know, you walk in and it feels really corporate. Not everybody can succeed there, right? But the people that can succeed in that setting couldn't necessarily succeed in a Harley dealership, right? Or somewhere else where it's a different setting because you're not yourself. You can't be your authentic self. So finding those places where people are going to be excelling by being their authentic selves is such a key thing. And it doesn't matter whether you have a disability or not. You know, it's really about where you're comfortable, where people share the common interests, and where you can be real.
That's great. Wow. John?
Yeah, soft skills are critical. You know, in some of our areas of work, for example, in drywall, the profit margin is only 1% to 2%. So if somebody's messing around 5 minutes an hour, and all of the group is, then there goes the profit margin for that contractor, and they probably won't get another job with that particular developer or owner. So what we do on every one of our training centers, there's a big sign that said it takes zero effort to, and then has a lot of soft skills, like to be on time, to be respectful to your coworkers, to ask if you don't know, to bring your tools. For example, we say if you're on time, you're late. We expect people to be there early, size up what they need to do that day, and then do it. And when they take a break, when the break's over, they're not in the parking lot smoking a cigarette. They are back on the job with their belt on and working. So those soft skills, they're intimately involved in our training, and that's why having a skilled and trained worker is so important in our profession, and I think in others that require a good degree of skill. So soft skills, yes, very important.
So I'll take this opportunity to have a shameful plug here for Santiago Canyon College. So we have been listening to this from employers for years. And so we have developed a certificate around soft skills. So we can come in, not only do the training at the employer, but they can come in, we can go through the whole curriculum. I never thought we would have a curriculum around being respectful, being on time. But we have to pivot also as community colleges to what do we need to do to make sure that we get the employer what they need, but also give that great opportunity for that employee to continue and not allow something like this of not being on time. Although I am going to use John's, I think I'm going to print a big sign here for the office. If you're on time, you're late, and see how that goes here. We'll get that going here at the college. But with that, I know we're running up against the clock. We are going to take a quick break to hear from our sponsors. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with the OC Forum.
At UCI, we believe in the infinitely curious. We believe in the courageous of thought, the ones willing to fail again and again until one day they don't. When you have the courage to see things differently, to see opportunity where others see impossibility, amazing things will happen. At UCI, we stop at nothing to change the world, to save lives and deliver the extraordinary.
Easter Seals. You might have heard our name or seen our logo. We've been around for more than 100 years, but you aren't sure who we are or what we do. Well, Easter Seals is a nonprofit organization. We are leading the way to full equity, inclusion, and access for people with disabilities, their families, and communities through life-changing services. Although we're not religiously affiliated, we got our name back in the day for sending people seals in the mail around Easter. The name Easter Seals stuck. While we have many affiliates across the United States, our affiliate is known as Easter Seals Southern California. We have locally based disability services for kids and adults. We help people achieve personal goals and to be independent at home, at work, at school, and in their community. Therapy services for people with autism and similar developmental disabilities. Employment services to help people with a disability and veterans to get the job just right for them. Adult services that support people with disabilities a few hours a day or 24/7 to be independent. Children's services that get kids ready for kindergarten and beyond. Learn more about us at easterseals.com/southerncal.
And welcome back to the OC Forum. If you're just tuning in, my name is Enrique Perez. I'm the interim president at Santiago Canyon College in Orange, and I am your moderator for today's discussion. Rejoining us are Rhonda Miller, Business Solutions Manager at the Orange County Workforce Development Board, John Hanna, Government Affairs Director, Southwest Regional Council of Carpenters, and Debbie Ball, Vice President, Easter Seals Work First Employment Services. So earlier in the program, we discussed opportunities to help employees entering the workforce, to have them feel prepared, and discuss some of the challenges that come with preparing for the California Dream Job. As we look towards the future, what are the lessons learned that we can carry forward and build upon? So Debbie, we'll go ahead and start with you. On a more general scale, I know you have experience in labor at the federal level. Is there any workforce program you've seen in another region that you would like to see here in California?
Sure. So a lot of states are working on a lot of different initiatives, but really what it comes down to is, especially when you're talking about employment for people with disabilities, it really is one person at a time, one job. It's not a one size fits, one size fits everyone. So the best match that I've ever seen is customized employment. And it's really getting to know the individual first, rather than putting someone in a job and then trying to support them in something that they may not be successful at, right? And training them for the rest of their lives. You're really finding out where they will be successful and where they can benefit a business, and then letting the business train them and find that natural niche for them. So that's the kind of the overarching thing of it. Probably the best way to explain customized employment is just if I can tell a quick story. So Kayla had never had a job, and no one was rushing to hire her. She didn't have anything on her resume. She didn't have anything to really fill out an application with. She'd love to bake for her family, but had never had any formal training. So we learned more about her and more about the things that she liked, and we started looking for small businesses in her area that could benefit from someone who wanted to get into the industry, was passionate about it, but needed some training and some guidance. So we found this local bakery, and they hired her to fill macaroons. So that was her first job there. And what it did was it freed up the manager and the owner so they could deal with the customers and deal with the other front-facing aspects of the organization while they knew that she was taking good care of the macaroons, right? So then as she progressed in her skill sets, she learned more and more, and she became an assistant baker, and she's just a part of that business family now. And the business has grown, and she's thriving, and they're thriving. And that's what it's about, right? It's finding that right niche. And she didn't come in with all the skill sets. I mean, had she looked at an associate baker's job description, they would have checked her off. They wouldn't have even wasted any time with her. But, they saw that she was passionate about it. They saw that she had good skills. And they're like, let's do this. And she's been fabulous. Even when the business had to close down during COVID, they brought her back every time they opened during COVID. I mean, she's part of that team, and she's part of the reason that business is growing. And that's what we like to see. Those are the kind of successes we like. And, I just wanted to touch base really quickly, too, on people with disabilities is such an amorphous term. I mean, everybody's kind of like, ooh, I don't know what that means, right? But we all know somebody who has a disability. Whether it's a temporary disability when someone's coming back from surgery, whether we age into a disability, which hopefully we'll all do, right? Because you know the alternative. Um, or whether it's a person with autism, a person returning from service-related disabilities. I mean, all of those things come together to form that group of individuals that we're talking about here. So there is no one thing that everybody can say, oh, that's what they do. There is no they. It's like people with brown eyes. You know, they're all very diverse. So I just wanted to point that out too, because it does kind of get scary when people talk about people with disabilities, and we're everywhere.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Have you found specific areas for people with brown eyes?
Um,
Because we can certainly see if we can align. You know, we're trying everything. We're trying everything. I will just to add, Debbie, to what you mentioned. We started to put together these roundtables to have discussions with various industries. And one of the industries that just I've been so proud of, certainly Santiago Canyon College, moving forward, is we started to work with the Autism Business Association, which was actually, not because he's here, but in his trustee role, Trustee John Hanna introduced us to that association. When we met with them, they talked about how many of their associate organizations just were having trouble finding people to go out and make visits and do assessments. And so here's where that partnership comes in, right? The public-private partnership. So we got together and figured out how we could be that pipeline to provide that workforce that they needed, and they in return have been a great supporter of our college and district, and we now have a certificate in that. So and we just continue to partner with that. So we are desperately looking for more partnerships where there's that mutual benefit, which is exactly how these partnerships are going to be long-term and sustainable, is when you continue to support each other.
Well, let's talk some more about that. I would love to learn more.
Absolutely. We'll absolutely do it. I'll follow up. But with Rhonda, I know here's another partner that we have worked with very closely with the Orange County Workforce Development Board. Tell us a little bit about what is going on in Orange County. What are the trends, and what is the county doing to focus on what the workforce needs are for our current employers?
Well, so there's a number of programs that we have for businesses as well as for our job seekers. My entire being, we have programs for businesses, and those are business services that we offer. Everything from training programs where we can offset training costs with federal funding. There's an opportunity for us to help with job postings. We have those hiring events and job fairs, and they're a little different. Job fairs are quite large with the number of industries, and then we have our hiring events, which are a little bit smaller. We can have those both in person or virtually, whatever's easiest for employers. So there's quite a number of services that we provide for employers, everything from helping create job descriptions and providing labor market information to pre-screening candidates for them if needed as well. So that's what we can do for employers, and the list goes on and on. I'm lucky. I say I can talk about it all day, and I do. I get to talk about it all day long, so that's pretty fantastic for me. Supporting our workforce, we have a number of programs for the job seekers, for adults and our Opportunity Youth job seekers, where we can create those work-based training opportunities with employers and provide that opportunity for those job fairs and hiring events. I mentioned it earlier, like you hear from job seekers, and they say, if only I could get in front of an employer, if only I could get in front of the hiring manager. Well, here it is. Here's your opportunity to get in front of a hiring manager. And I want to make sure that the job seeker understands that you have a say in this too. These positions are available, but they need to be a fit. They need to be long-term. We don't want people to just take a job. We want an opportunity for career, because the last thing I want is it not working and you back in my job pool again. So it's important, like we were talking about culture, it's important to understand culture is made up in an organization of the people. So it needs to be a fit, and there's job seekers out there now, and you've got a certain group of folks who are entering the workforce where meaningful vision and the purpose of the organization, and are they carbon neutral? I mean, there's all kinds of things that job seekers these days want to get behind and want to be a part of. They want to make sure that their positions are going to be sustainable. Not only can I do it, but can I do it for a long time? And where is that growth? Where is that opportunity for growth in that career trajectory? It's super important for people to know that there's an opportunity to advance. We do workshops to help prep with those resumes. We can help with your LinkedIn profile. We can do those mock interviews. So there's a number of things that we do for the job seekers as well. I love this talk about apprenticeships because apprenticeships are so amazing, and we have an opportunity to create apprenticeships both in the traditional and the non-traditional sense. So gosh, it's just another opportunity for folks if they're building their way to a degree or whatever they need to do to make sure that they're going in the direction that they want to. We want to be able to provide that. I mean, as far as trends go, candidates are still in the driver's seat, right? And we don't know when that's going to change, but it is important for businesses to understand they've had an opportunity for work-life balance and they want to keep it, right? And you need to get creative. And there's some roles where you need to go into an office, you need to go into a, face-to-face environment. But can you be creative? I totally agree. The competitive wage and those benefits, that's baseline these days. And that's what job seekers are looking for. So anything you can do creative-wise as an employer to try and get employment and invest. If there's a return on investment for your employees, make the investment in your current workforce.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I know the county has always been so supportive of workforce and very much involved in workforce. I've been at our district for 22 years, and I think for those 22 years, I've been working with the county on different areas where we can help employers. So moving on to you, John. So when I was in school, I used to do a little bit of cheating when I was given a book. I used to go to the end of the book to find out where's this going? And for me, maybe it says a lot about me as a student, but I used to go to the end of the book and then read from the beginning to end, and it made much more sense of where we're going. So what does the future look like for employees at Southwest Carpenters in that industry? What does the future look like 5-10 years from now?
The future is education, amigo. That's if our workforce isn't committed to lifelong learning, and there isn't a structure provided for that, then most of these jobs are going to fall away or be automated, and they will be left high and dry. So we've got a responsibility, I think, as both in government and the private sector, to try and make sure that our workforce continues to be trained. Community colleges are just a great vehicle for that. And as Rhonda said, apprenticeship, a great marriage between the public and private sectors, the efficiencies of the private sector with the economic wherewithal of the public sector is really the thing for the future. We have a great apprenticeship program. We don't need to tinker with it in construction, but there are many fields where it is a good model, as Ron has suggested, and I think that's something that we need to do. And if employers will do that, and one more thing Rhonda said that the carpenters totally subscribe to, that for us it's a career, not a job. A lot of people start coming to us. Our average age for an apprentice is 26, and it should be much younger. But for those early 20s and late teens, a lot of people they're looking for jobs. They're looking to have fun, and then they get married or they have a situation where they need to be responsible. So then they start thinking about insurance and pensions and things like that. We need to approach that workforce that's younger and get them committed earlier, so that their pensions will be better when they get older, so that our country will be healthier as a result, that our public taxpayers won't have to pay as much. So there are all these additional collateral benefits that if we just would make commitments to the workforce, and in return, organizations like mine have a commitment to make them more productive. And people like in Reiki at the college district have a commitment and a responsibility to make their students more productive and more efficient, so that employers will be getting more as they give more to their employees. And it will work out as long as we keep that balance. But too often in our country, we've gone back and forth, and we haven't found always the soft spot, the sweet spot. I think Rancho Santiago's and the various Orange County agencies kind of have it smarter than many other areas of the country, and I'm proud to be, in alliance with all of you, and thank you for all you're doing for the workforce in Orange County.
Well, thank you, John, and we certainly thank the carpenters. I know you all do a lot. It encourage continuing education, right? As the industry continues to change, your employees need to continue to keep up with it. So Debbie, I'll throw the same question at you. Let's look at that end of that book that goes out 10 years. What does your industry look like? What does the employee need to look like?
I think that it's about tangible as well as intangible. I think that it's about more flexibility. I think it's really looking at each individual, and I think it's best practices that we've read about it for 100 years. Really finding where your associates shine and finding out how you can maximize that. Taking off areas where they're weaker, as we do with anybody else, right? You're job carving your own jobs. I mean, I know when I first started with Easter Sales, my job was much, much, much different than it is now. But through refinement and through really finding different paths that I could excel at where others didn't, and then giving others in those different areas pieces of my job. I think that's one of the things that Easter Seals does really, really well, is constantly looking at managing those positions so that they are unique to the individual, and maximizing those capabilities. You don't want to spend 80% of your time trying to get 10% of your folks to work up to 100% of the speed, right? I mean, really focus on the top performers, not just on the top performers, but where the top performers perform best, and then look at where everybody else performs best, and align those across the way. In Orange County, there's all kinds of opportunities, like Rhonda's been talking, and John, and the camaraderie and the community in Orange County is just so ripe, and it's such a great opportunity to have conversations like this and to bring awareness to, not only the employers who are still struggling and looking for employment, but all of those people out there who are trying to get into the market with such tight rates right now.
Very good, thank you. So we have a few minutes left. I want to throw one more question at all of you. You're in an elevator. Somehow all the top employers in Orange County are all in there with you. Just go with me on this. And you have 1 minute to let them know the top thing that they need to change so that they are ready for the new employee, the employee looking for that balance. What do you tell them, Ron?
I would tell them that a little goes a long way for most people. Show that you care, invest in your employees, pay them with a livable wage, what they're worth, invest in them for that skills gain, if not for where your organization is, but for somewhere down the road for them. I mean, yeah, that's what I would say. Invest in your people and treat them well, and they will be loyal and do their best for you.
Fantastic. John?
Employers need their own set of soft skills. Rhonda's said most of what I think most of us would say. I would add to that, make it a welcoming environment, that people want to come to work, not that they dread it. And that can be both in an office environment and in a construction worksite environment. There are collateral things, though, that employers need to think about. Is there housing in the community that my workforce can afford to live in, or do they have to drive in from Moreno Valley into Costa Mesa? Is there a good community college or ROP program or some program where they can improve their education, and does the employer encourage that, and sometimes maybe help provide assistance like buying materials if it can be linked to increased productivity on the job. So those are welcoming environments, and making sure that the things that are most stressful for most people in life, like where they're going to live and can they afford to live. Those things are critical. And employers who really want to make sure that they have a workforce that's going to want to fight to get into the door and work in that company, it's not just paying a ton of money to them, it's providing a welcoming area to work in.
Fantastic. So, Debbie, you've got you're crammed in this elevator. You got the 1-minute pitch.
All right. I think gone are the days of cookie cutter jobs where everybody has to fit in a certain mold. I think that to be the best employer, you have to be flexible and creative. Universal design is something that I'm really passionate about. It works for everyone. So universal design is looking at your job descriptions, looking at your entrance policies, looking at how you get applicants, looking at how the office is set up, right? It's not set up for any one person or any one type of people. It's set up for everybody, where everybody can be successful. Same thing is true with interviews. Use informational interviews. Get to know the individuals first, right? There's nothing better than getting to know an individual a little bit more before you make that hiring decision, because it is a huge commitment on both sides. So yeah, and think about the intangibles. Are your schedules flexible? If not, can they be? Right? We've got a lot of people re-entering careers. They've got families. Can they still afford to take care of their kids and work in your job? And do they have to be corporate hours, or can they be flexible hours? Can they set their own schedules?
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Well, I could keep this going. This is so interesting. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today. I want to thank all of you for being here. The three of you, just great insight for our audience. But before we finish, I wanted to ask you one closing question. Rhonda, in the perfect world, how would we prepare ourselves for the California dream job?
Well, I think that the pandemic provided an opportunity to think things they never thought they would be able to before, which is what do I want to do? What can I do? And once you do that career exploration and figure it out, there are things that you need to do to prepare yourself. If you are in an office environment and you want to be a park ranger, you better figure out, what it's going to take for you to hang out with Smokey the Bear. Like you need to make sure that you're prepared, get those certifications. Do you need to take a step back and therefore save some money before you can make that move? These opportunities will come, and you do need to be accountable to be prepared for when they happen. They're going to come fast, so you got to be ready to jump when it happens. So that preparation is key.
Great. Thank you, Rhonda. And John, similar question. What would you do to help our folks prepare for the California dream job?
Well, our local leadership, our regional manager, Jacob Lopez, and our Orange County lead, John Tafoya, have always said that we have to make sure that our apprentices in particular, but also our journeymen, understand that every day is like, every day on the job is like a day in school. You have to learn every time that you go out on the job site. And you have to continue lifelong education. We have recertification for our journeymen because there's new technologies and you need to brush up. So I think that what we do in our space is to say we have to be as efficient as possible to make our employers successful and profitable. And when we do that, we will increase our marketability, but we will also increase that our employers' profitability, if it's in the private sector or in the public sector, will save taxpayers money. And those things, they work in a little circle. So I think that's the best thing we can do, lifelong training and keeping on top of changes in your profession.
Thank you, John. And Debbie, same question. At the community colleges, our top goal is access. Give you the opportunity. What can we do to give folks with disabilities access to these jobs?
Sure. So there are many things we can do. Local employers can make sure that they're reaching candidates with disabilities by posting jobs in their local job centers, by contacting the workforce centers, using those generic partners that are out there. The Department of Rehabilitation is a great resource. They too host often free seminars and job preparedness things. There's local provider agencies, and then, talking to people who have been successful, talking to other employers who have been successful in bringing on people with disabilities, and how that's changed their workforce, and diversified thinking even. We need to make sure that our practices are accessible. We need to make sure whether, we aren't screening people out because they can't get through our application process. Some of those online applications are rigorous. And I don't think the intent was to screen most of the applicants out, but it does. And then the matching words, the algorithms and stuff, that unless you have the right words in your resume or in the application, you just get kicked out. I mean, all of those are just dissuading a lot of people who could otherwise be really valuable to those businesses. And making sure that your interviews are accessible. Making sure that there are opportunities there to really get to know the person. It doesn't always have to be just a conversation. I mean, a lot of people with some mad tech skills aren't going to be the most interesting to speak with, right? or it could be true of any skills really. So don't always think about it just being the communication or just being the yes/no answers. And then once you get somebody on board, treat them right. Find that sweet spot for them. Make sure that there are opportunities for growth and promotion and constant learning. Those are the ways that we're going to build tomorrow's workforce.
Fantastic. So,
Amen.
amen. So I want to thank the three of you again. Very inspiring. I love the expertise, but what really comes through is the passion for what each of you does. I can tell you that one of the things I love about working at a community college is we have the opportunity to work with everyone, and it could be in one day.
Yeah.
I could visit in the morning. I could start with our Child Development Center, our youngest students. I could the same day work with an employer, work with someone that's trying to improve their English skills, meet with an elected official. I mean, it truly is working with all of the stakeholders of the community, and I don't know of any other place where we can do that. And certainly our focus on workforce, the people that truly are moving this country forward, is always a great opportunity. So I thank all of you for being with us today. To our audience, I want to thank our viewers for tuning into our program today. I also want to thank our title sponsors, UCI and UCI Health, for making this program free to all of the viewers. For more information about this topic and to view our previous conversations, please visit the OC Forum website in the description below. Thank you again, and have a wonderful day. Thanks again.